This is my house!
Imagine returning home early from a work trip, suitcase still in hand, only to find someone relaxing on your porch, dressed in your robe, sipping your wine, and looking at you like you don't belong there. That's exactly what happened to Caleb Ward, a black man who had simply come back to the house he owned, only to be treated like a trespasser in his own home. The late afternoon sun washed over the quiet neighborhood as Caleb Ward, a black cybersecurity specialist, pulled his suitcase along the sidewalk toward his home. He had flown back from Tokyo almost 2 weeks ahead of schedule, exhausted but eager to finally relax in the house he had worked so hard to earn. He expected silence, maybe a faint hum from his security system. What he didn't expect was the sight that greeted him on his own front porch. There, stretched out on one of his lounge chairs, as if she owned the place, sat Patricia Lorne, the relentless head of the neighborhood HOA. The image hit Caleb like a slap. Patricia, dressed comfortably in his luxurious silk robe, sipping wine from his glass, looking as though she had settled into a lifestyle she hadn't paid a dime for. Caleb slowed his steps, gripping the handle of his suitcase tighter. He had imagined confronting her once, but never like this. Not walking up his driveway to find her nesting in his home like a queen on stolen territory. When Patricia finally lifted her eyes and saw him, the wine glass nearly slipped from her hand. For a moment, pure fear flickered across her face. She looked caught, truly caught. But rather than shame, something far nastier replaced it: entitlement. Patricia rose abruptly, straightened her robe, and surged forward with a glare. "You! Who are you, and what are you doing on this property?" she snapped, voice trembling between outrage and panic. Caleb remained at the foot of the steps, calm and level-voiced. "You know exactly who I am, Patricia. This is my house." Her cheeks flushed red, not with embarrassment, but fury. And then she made the exact move Caleb's lawyer had predicted she would. She pulled out her phone with dramatic flair. "This man is trespassing!" she shrieked, dialing emergency services with shaking fingers. "He's trying to break into this residence. I'm alone and scared. Please send officers immediately." What would you do if you came home and found a stranger living in your house and calling the police on you? Before we continue, drop your country or city below. We love seeing where our story arc family is watching from. If you believe in calling out entitlement and exposing people who abuse their authority, smash that like button and subscribe, because sometimes the biggest thieves are the ones holding a clipboard. Caleb stood still. He didn't interrupt, didn't defend himself. He simply watched the performance unfold, mentally noting every lie spoken for the record. Within minutes, piercing sirens tore through the calm neighborhood. 2 police cruisers sped around the corner, tires screeching as they stopped in his driveway. Lights flashed across Caleb's face as officers stepped out, hands near their holsters. Just like that, the trap was sprung. To understand how things reached the point of police cars lining his driveway, you have to rewind several months, back to when Caleb Ward first moved into the upscale community of Maple Ridge Estate. For Caleb, buying that house was more than a financial milestone. It was a declaration that every sleepless night building his cybersecurity firm had been worth it. After years packed into tiny apartments while traveling from country to country, securing corporate networks, he had finally earned a slice of peace. The house itself was a sleek, modern build. Glass, steel, clean lines, everything Caleb loved. But his sanctuary came with a hidden parasite he hadn't accounted for: the Homeowners Association and its self-appointed queen, Patricia Lorne. Caleb met her within days of moving in. He opened his door to find Patricia on his porch, clutching a clipboard like it was a badge of power. She was somewhere in her 50s, dressed in youthful resort-style clothes that didn't suit her, blonde hair pulled back so tight it looked painful, and a smile that stopped at her lips, not her eyes. Her voice was sweet, but the message wasn't. She immediately informed Caleb that his sleek black mailbox violated community aesthetics and carried a daily fine. Caleb tried to explain it, matched his modern home, but talking to her felt like arguing with someone who thought she owned the whole neighborhood. Trying to avoid conflict while settling in, he swapped it for the tacky green mailbox she demanded. That decision, he would later realize, showed Patricia he was someone she could push. From then on, the nitpicking never stopped. She cited him for trash bins left out a short while after pickup, for planting a Japanese maple that wasn't on her approved list, and even issued a warning because a package sat on his porch too long. Living under her rule felt less like a community and more like obeying a petty dictator. Then Caleb landed a major work assignment in Tokyo. HOA rules required residents to notify the board before long trips, so he sent his travel dates, never imagining that single email would give Patricia the chance she needed. It was the opening she later used to slip into his life. From the moment Caleb Ward boarded his flight to Tokyo, he expected nothing more than a hectic month of cybersecurity work and hotel living. But midway through the second week, something peculiar surfaced, something only someone like Caleb would notice. A small alert pinged on his phone. The thermostat in his master bedroom had been manually adjusted. He had set the system to stay at 65 while away, yet it was suddenly at 72. He shrugged it off as a tech glitch. 2 days later, another alert removed all doubt. His smart fridge recorded new groceries, milk he never bought, yogurt he'd never eat, and a cheap Chardonnay he wouldn't drink on principle. Caleb's pulse sharpened. Someone wasn't just entering his home, someone was living in it. He pulled up his internal cameras. What he saw twisted his stomach. Patricia and her husband, Stuart Lorne, lounging on his couch, shoes off, cozy as if they paid the mortgage. They flipped through channels with his remote. She had one of his cashmere throws wrapped around her shoulders like royalty. Stuart's feet were propped on Caleb's ottoman. It got worse. Footage revealed even more violations. Patricia and her husband raiding his pantry, sleeping in his bed, and treating his home like a luxury getaway. They even hosted guests on his patio, serving his finest scotch as if they owned the place. But the deepest blow came when Caleb saw Patricia wearing clothing that belonged to his late wife, Eleanor. A silk scarf he hadn't had the heart to pack away hung around her neck as she posed in his mirror. That crossed a line. This wasn't just trespassing anymore. It was personal. Caleb wanted to call the police on the spot, but he forced himself to think strategically. He needed proof so overwhelming that Patricia couldn't talk her way out of it. So he gathered everything: video, timestamps, audio, appliance logs, turning his smart home into a digital evidence trap. Then he captured the final piece, an audio clip of Patricia bragging that she had Caleb's travel dates and would leave before he got back so he'd never find out. That was the moment Caleb knew her downfall was guaranteed. Once Caleb Ward secured the audio that proved intent, he knew this was no longer just about trespassing. It was a calculated takeover of his life. He forwarded a small sample of the evidence to his attorney, Adrian Wells, a sharp, strategic lawyer known for dismantling arrogant opponents. When Adrian reviewed the material, a photo of Patricia sprawled on Caleb's couch and a short clip of her bragging that Caleb would never find out, his response was immediate. Call me. On the call, the plan he proposed was bold but brilliant. Return early, catch Patricia red-handed, and let her own panic expose her. Adrian predicted she would escalate, lie, and overplay her role. The key was for Caleb to remain calm, composed, and let her make the first disastrous move. Caleb booked a flight home for May 15th, 2 weeks before his official return date. Adrian cleared his calendar to be on standby the moment Caleb landed. The pieces were set. All Caleb had to do was show up. Caleb avoided his usual airport car service. Instead, he took a basic taxi and got dropped off 2 blocks from Maple Ridge Estate. As Caleb approached his driveway, he began quietly recording on his phone. Patricia, blissfully unaware, lounged on his porch in one of Eleanor's silk kimonos, sipping wine. When she finally spotted him, the transformation was instant. Shock, panic, then indignant fury. She put on a performance called 911 and painted Caleb as a threatening intruder. Exactly as Adrian predicted. Police arrived fast. Officers approached cautiously, hands resting near their belts. Caleb remained still, respectful, and ready. He calmly stated his name, his address, and that he had proof he lived there. Adrian had advised one sentence that Caleb delivered with precision. I'd like to show you something on my security system. And just like that, the beginning of Patricia's downfall began. On her own stage, with the entire neighborhood watching. Once the officers reviewed the footage Caleb displayed, live access to his cameras, time-stamped logs, and the audio clip of Patricia admitting she planned to slip out before he returned, her entire performance collapsed in seconds. The confident, self-appointed queen of the HOA went pale as the officers shifted their attention from Caleb to her. Instead of placing Caleb in cuffs, they turned to Patricia and asked her to step aside. Stuart, who had wandered out onto the porch during the commotion, froze as soon as he saw the officers replaying clips of them treating the house like a vacation rental. Within the hour, Patricia was escorted into the back of a police car in full view of the neighbors who had long suffered under her HOA reign. She was charged with burglary, unlawful occupancy, misuse of HOA access, and theft of property. Stewart was charged as an accomplice. The fallout was swift. The HOA board held an emergency vote and removed Patricia from her position permanently. The HOA was forced to rewrite several of their policies, including eliminating the rule that required homeowners to hand over spare keys. As for Caleb, he didn't celebrate. He simply took back his home, changed every lock, upgraded his system even further, and reclaimed his peace. But he never forgot how quickly people in power could abuse access. If you believe protecting your peace, your home, and your dignity is a battle worth fighting, tap like and subscribe to Story Arc. Because ownership isn't just about a house, it's about respecting the people who live in it.